So you're gonna have to bear with me for a paragraph or two here. In my vault of unfinished scripts and journalistic research, there's the curious case of a band called Dempsey Kit. And to be clear, band might be a very loose term here. It's a project or a pseudonym of some kind that dropped a crunchy sounding post black metal album in the beginning of 2023 and disappeared without a trace from streaming. People have speculated everything from it being a one woman project out of Russia to it being fully AI generated, and with a lack of solid info, I only have my pet theories. What bugged me about Dempsey Kit, though, is that if it was soulless AI slop, then it was soulless AI slop that people still really liked on first listen. Even I'm growing fond of it during research. But clearly that energy should be forwarded towards real artists instead. It would be easy and effective to say to seek out who they sounded like or allegedly trained their AI off of. Your typical Death Heaven, Harakiri for the Sky, Amon Ra, and later Death. And if you're seeking out obscure and mysterious post-black metal releases, you already know the big names. What's left for you to explore? Plenty? Well, of course. Welcome to the Nausea River podcast. I'm Theo Morgan, and I interviewed Brent O'Sullivan of Black Band Shirt.
Righteous. Great.
Right, so formally, I'm Theo. Who are you?
Formerly, I'm Breno of the band Black Band Shirt.
Cool. Any other projects?
Nope, not currently. That's kind of all I'm up to right now. Sometimes I'll goof around and like make some videos or something on Instagram just to do it. But other than that, I mean, this is all I really do.
And we'll ask about those later, but okay, so Breno had recently put out the album You Will Never Know Me, a piece of post-black metal and punk that's one of the best in its class. I mean it. It takes a romantically tinged, very human approach to lyrics and vibes that certainly don't remind you of your formative years. Sonically, it's tremolo-picked black metal meets post-hardcore angst, and the closing song, HM2M2U, is just punk, no other way to describe it. Even if Breno wouldn't talk to me, I'd recommend it as a potential top contender for my Album of the Year list, so far. And now, well, I'll try not to take that into consideration in December, right? Black Band Shirt is not a hugely popular project, even by metal standards. I don't know if You Will Never Know Me will top anyone else's list, not out of lack of quality, of course, but just out of obscurity. I owed it to Breno to try and fix that. I hope you enjoy what we talk about, because it certainly went to unexpected places. You're with Black Band Shirt. You've released an album recently, and I want to know, how did Black Band Shirt start?
Well, it's a good question. I feel like I've been at it so long. It's been sort of rattling around in my head forever, and it's just been like riffs here and there and ideas here and there for the longest time. And then one day something just clicked and I was like, I'm just going to sit down and just start making music. And so I bought all the necessary bits and pieces to do that. And I just sat down and forced myself to figure it out. And really what it is essentially just a studio project with myself currently. I'm definitely like super interested in local musicians who might want to go out and play live with me, but right now, it's just my own thing within my own room, just kind of doing guitar, doing drums, doing bass, putting it all together and seeing how it comes out.
When did you start this project?
I would say we'll just go with the kickoff point of April 2024.
Okay.
Like I can say that, like I said, I've been working on this sort of idea vaguely forever, but unless there's really something to kind of put money where your mouth is, I would say that April 2024 is when this thing started. Sometimes you'll see like, oh, band formed in like 2003, and then for 20 years there's no music anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really agreed with that.
They've just been rehearsals for 20 years.
Yeah. If you're like hanging out and having beers and talking about how cool your t-shirts are going to be for like a dozen years, I don't think you're a band. I think you're a band the moment you put pen to paper, you know what I mean? And that's just how I felt. So once the first EP came out in April 2024, I would say that's when this whole thing started kicking off.
Okay, and a lot of I think you and other people described Black Band Shirt as a mixture of like black metal and punk. Do you have a background in either of those genres?
I certainly have a high school sort of background in punk. Like I played like all sorts of random basement shows for people, and like bits and pieces of punk bands that I've been in. I originally started out wanting to be a drummer, and so I learned some very basic rhythms on that because I think back when I was a kid, I just wanted to be loved. I had like no interest in drums whatsoever. It was just something where I noticed that everybody was asking for drummers, and they still are. I'm asking for a drummer. They just don't exist unless they're in 40 other bands and they're way too busy. So I had kind of first started playing some drums for some people here and there. Nothing that you can hear anywhere that's been recorded, but I got involved in a black metal group locally, probably I would say in like 2016, 2017. We have a EP on Bandcamp. The name of the band is Druid. It was mostly somebody else's project that I was part of. And the reason that I stopped being in that project, I would say majorly is because like he had all of his own ideas and nobody else's. And so for 7 entire years, I'm like, oh, screw him. I'm going to take my ball and go home and make my own thing with my own ideas with blackjack and hookers. And I just went off and made that happen eventually after a long time of just thinking really hard about it. And that's kind of where we're at now. So I'm huge on like collaboration, even though I'm in a solo project. Like I love other people's ideas. I love it when other people have like a way to kind of change course with a band. I think if you're in a solo project, it's not really ideal because you're kind of just by yourself for
Mhm.
yourself and you're sort of just not bouncing ideas off anybody else and you're not really, what am I trying to say? Like you're not really challenged at all when you're a solo project. You make music and you put out music and you hope people like it, but you don't really have any kind of gatekeeping going on in terms of what ideas you might have. And I think that might be a bit to my detriment,
I
if
thought you were
that
gonna
makes
say
sense.
like you can't get gig money,
That too. Believe me,
but
I've looked up how to like play a solo gig. Like if I just
yeah,
want to play guitar and vocals by myself, the amount of infrastructure and like shit that can go wrong, I might as well just keep trying to get guys. You know, it
yeah,
sounds like it's just the simplest way to go.
yeah. Because like I say that and I'm like, well, you've seen Planning for Burial live. It's just like
Yeah.
he's also like I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know how long Tom had been going at that project. Like he
Yeah.
has amassed the infrastructure to do solo shows. Not and that's why most people don't do that.
It's not easy, and it's like a feat of just like just the ability to put all that together. It's just this feat of planning and infrastructure and engineering. And the more I looked up, the less I wanted to do it.
Learning how to use a
I
sampler.
right, like they're coming out with all sorts of different like busking speakers you can use as a guitarist, where you can put something on like a Bluetooth track and maybe I could try that, but it just sounds so fraught. It's like just forget it. I'll just hold off and just
It also
keep
sounds
asking
like
around.
if you're using something like a Bluetooth speaker, like it would work, yeah, if you're busking, but I could see it just sounding like shit in a regular venue.
I mean, everything sounds like shit in a regular venue, which is the good news about metal music. Especially given the venues that I frequented. It
If it
just
sounds too good, you get
if a guy like Putrid
excommunicated.
Pile,
If it sounds
yeah,
too good, you get excommunicated from black metal.
yeah, that's true. Like uh I have the what's the word? I have the privilege to kind of guise myself under it can sound shitty because it's black metal. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And punk also should sound shitty.
Yeah, I'm in the best of both worlds here, really.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about sounding good ever. I told my friends what I was going to do is take one of those busking amplifiers and just like show up to a bigger name show and just outside of the line go until I get arrested or beaten up. But they advise me strongly not to do that if I want any sense of appreciation in any given local scene. So I decided not to,
Yeah.
but still a good idea.
And my last,
Um,
yeah. And my last origins question was, uh, where did the name of this band come from?
um, well, I had a lot of different like spooky names, like like every band does. You have all these
Mhm.
names that are just like offensive or vile or
Mhm.
violent or just like harsh. And I don't know, just something about the concept of naming my band something that could ironically be put on a t-shirt. It always appealed to me. I was always gonna I've just had this idea for years. Like if I just call the band Black Band Shirt and you have to put that on a t-shirt you're gonna sell, all it's gonna say is what it is.
Yeah.
And in this sort of like just the like short answer is I did it to be funny.
Okay.
And I did it to kind of make it so that, hey, I'm making very serious music, but I myself am not a very serious guy. It's just like I have two wolves that live inside me, this very like sad, serious, depressive kind of person. And then this person who's just like an absolute sad clown goofball who's just like class clowning and trying to make everybody laugh to make the world a little bit better because I know how much it sucks. So I had this joke idea and I had the t-shirt for what it is idea. And so I sort of threw that together without thinking too hard about it. Um, like first and foremost, but I guess the longer answer to the question would be that there's really no greater representation of the kind of music that brings us here than just talking about a black band t-shirt, you know? It's like probably the greatest qualifier to being a metalhead and being into metal. I mean, you're literally wearing one right now. I'm literally wearing one right now. This is
Oh,
what
you
we
have the
do.
Alcest shirt.
Yeah. So it's just it's part of who we are and it's part of how we represent ourselves and kind of showcase ourselves to each other. So in a way, I think that it can be taken as a very serious name. Like, hey, this is metal. This is harsh music. This is the stuff that we're all into. And that doesn't just go for metal music. I mean, obviously going into like basic things like punk and grunge and whatever else, however popular it's on the radio or whatever. Hell, a lot of the best Prince t-shirts come in black. It's just, it's just so representative of who we are and why we're here.
Yeah. My thoughts were you have cored yourself into that you can never have colorful band shirts. And everyone will be like, I'm not buying another black band shirt. I'm gonna wait until it's in red or pink or
I can
yellow.
make you, I,
Oh, that
I
would be a
work
lot
with
funnier if it
I
was in
work with a
yellow.
decent company. Yeah, I'm definitely. You give me a color, Theo, and I'll send it to you in that color. That's the
Yeah.
kind of company I work for with the with printing t-shirts. Like
Oh, neat.
it just doesn't matter. It's kind of one of those things where I was a little bit stubborn and I really wanted to drive the point across. And I don't think I'm at that level as a band certainly yet where I can um expect a white t-shirt to sell as well as the ones that were like not in that color. But I don't know. I think I might immediately just go in there and start making them in whatever the hell color I want.
I think pink because you know what shirt got oddly popular? The pink sunbather shirt from Deaf Heaven. I
It
see
did.
I see that like once a show.
Do you
It's
think it
one
should be like a harsh neon pink or like a softer kind of
I'm thinking softer.
softer? Yeah, I agree.
Because
I
like
agree.
I don't know if too much band merch that's in hot pink, I guess, so that would be unique, but I
Yeah.
feel like
It's
soft
that
pink is something more people would wear. Like I think in even including some guys, like,
yeah,
you know,
I
I
agree.
I've known, you know, professional guys like teachers and, various office workers who are like, I can wear like a soft pink button down because it shows I'm like unafraid of my masculinity.
Yeah.
Like hot pink is a lot. It's a statement that like, even me as a woman, it's just like that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm certainly I'm nowhere near threatened by any version of my masculinity at this point in my life. Um, I've been married for as many years as I have been. I don't need to prove my manliness to anybody. It's an ongoing thing that I think every man, especially in this like conservative era of America, where we're always torn apart for being like Cox's soy boys or whatever. But I mean, the more that you care about that stuff, the more you're kind of revealing yourself as just not being secure in who you are and what you're doing. Not that being like a man is really any qualifier for being who you are. It's certainly not personality wise. If it is, that's a fucking problem. Like if you put manliness anywhere in within like the spectrum of your personality or it's defined by that, that's always been a huge issue. So yeah, I do sell like a black t-shirt in a pink font. That was probably one of the first t-shirts I put together. And the first EP is my brother Brian wearing a ski mask and an Adidas track jacket posing in an all pink background with like pink flowers all around him. So pink. I'm no stranger to pink. Love pink. Pink's one of my probably second favorite colors, which is why my face is turning it right now.
Yeah, it does not crack my favorite colors at all, but I do think like for the right shirt, it's perfect.
Yeah, let's do it. So anyone who's listening, we're gonna do a special edition
Yeah.
pink t-shirt, and it's gonna be thanks to Theo.
Anyone who's listening, my couple's outfit idea is a black band shirt and one of those like knockoff Joy Division shirts, which is just like an image of the shirt on a white shirt.
That's how it should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I had what felt like an entrepreneurial idea in a way with the merchandising. I certainly am not going to ascribe myself to a specific logo. Like the good news about it is I can just make it all bold and just make it say what it says. I'm not even the first person to like make a t-shirt of that level. Like, you can go on Amazon right now and buy like a black t-shirt that just says band on it. Like you can already make that joke if you want to. You don't need me.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of interesting because it's going to be one of those things where if you know, you know, like someone will be wearing a thing that says black band shirt and you'll see that and you'll just go, oh, that's funny. That's cute. This guy's one of those contrarian, sarcastic types.
Hmm.
And I certainly still want you to be that way. And that's what my shirts are for. But it's also kind of cool that if you're somehow aware, there's a band behind that. There's a guy releasing music behind that. And that's me. So that was a huge part of that origin behind that name and why I went with it. You know, to be funny, to kind of come up with a concept where it's like, hey man, I got a T-shirt that people might actually want to buy, without putting like all of the typical slam metal nonsense all over it. That might still come. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, but
But a little bit. I do have a pretty goofy T-shirt that says, I can't take this any moss with the Taco Bell logo on it.
I
That's
did see
that
that.
that's still live. I said if I sold 50 units of that, I'd take it down, but it's probably been on 3 sold so far, so I'm about to take it down anyway.
I think I have fewer than 47 regular listeners, so
Okay, all right. Well, if you have fewer than 47, I just need all of them to buy it, which is something we can arrange, and then it will go into the vault forever.
yeah, and
But the
then
but the pink T-shirt
yeah,
that will go up. That will
yeah,
be up
somewhat
there.
so much for being on tour with a bunch of with a bunch of slam bands, which is the one way you could sell a lot of those no, I can't take the snow boss shirts.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
It just needs like a picture of SpongeBob somewhere, and then you're like at peak slam merchandise.
oh yeah, yeah. If you have some kind of like off-brand SpongeBob or something like somebody drew that in like one of those airbrushing shops. That's the best way to go. But yeah, earlier you had kind of asked me about the punk and black metal background thing,
Hmm.
and I've had this idea on paper forever where I was just like, I am just gonna make a music that I know nobody will like. I'm gonna make it black metal, and I'm gonna make it like pop punk. Like I was just like pop punk. That's what this is. That's why I'm here. And so I was just for months mainlining pop punk music. I've heard a lot of actually very cool bands from that genre that I was not expecting, like guys of like great instrumental ability, great songwriting, more progressive than you'd think. Um, and like I was just eventually just getting more and more into it. That I was like, hell man, I really like this music. And I was kind of crossing over more into sort of this post-hardcore realm of things. Your Touche Amore, your Boris, um, and things like I don't know. I don't know if I'd say Knock Loose. They're probably more on the metal side of things, but um, even like A Day to Remember. Like people from my edge of the world hate bands like that because they're just so I don't know, like easy core. It's like they take hardcore elements and then like make it as easy to sell as possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I had that, like I said, I had this idea where I was like, I want to be um as contrarian as possible. I want to make my music way too bubblegum pop for the black metal dudes to even touch. And I want to make it like obviously like harsh vocals and reverby and weird so that people that might actually be into the more punk style of music are going to be like, what the hell is this? So I was just from the get so stoked to not be successful and to just like burn this bridge to the ground without even trying. But strangely enough, when it all came together, I was pretty happy with it. And in spite of myself, made something that I think is actually pretty cool. And I've been told that a number of times by a number of people that it's like, hey man, no one's really doing anything like this. And I think you're really onto something here. I had fallen into some common internet advice that is going around in like 2024,
Mm-hmm.
2025, which is the way to make it as an artist these days is to change your perspective and try to make it more of a content creation thing than doing what we're used to as like even as music fans and listeners, like we're used to albums,
Mm-hmm.
and albums to me, I've always felt like they're really the canonical part of a band's catalog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we talk about, I'll go as big as possible. If we talk about like Metallica, we talk about Metallica's albums, their LPs. We don't, not too often are you hearing about their EPs or their like side catalog or this and that. Like
I'd
we're not
say,
talking about their splits, you
yeah.
know?
But I'd say arguably Metallica is like one of those bands where you do hear a lot about releases that aren't like in the main like, you know, album lineup. Cause like I feel like I hear more people talking about the two S&M live albums than Reload.
I hear a lot of people talk about Load and Reload, but for different reasons than the S&M live album. Just
Like I hear people talk about Load. I feel like Reload I haven't heard that much about lately, but I will hear people praise the S&M albums, and I'm one of those odd people who love symphonic metal and just
yeah.
despises those.
Oh, you despise
I don't like it. I
Load?
think I no, I despise S&M.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
think
just
it's
it,
I think like it's an idea that could have worked
yeah.
because like I have heard orchestras perform Metallica, like Apocalyptica, the cello metal band. They got started doing Metallica covers and they still do Metallica covers. It's just like
They
it
have
is
to.
not music that you can't orchestrate, but I think with S&M, I never listened to S&M too. So we'll talk about the original S&M. I thought that the orchestrations just they did not match the music at all. They did not flow together. Um,
Well, if you think of a symphony, like you think of an orchestra, it's
mhm,
all very it's all very cut and dry.
mhm,
You have the notes in front of you, and there's a guy on a cello and a
mhm.
violin and a tuba and whatever, just doing it in time as it's written. So it's
Yeah.
like you have Metallica just doing their thing on stage together with Lars and James
Mhm.
doing the rhythm, and that's how they've always played. So they're doing their own thing, and the orchestra is they're doing okay.
They're
I
doing
mean,
their
you can
own
listen to
thing. It's too much of their own thing. I thought like
right.
there was no connection to the music that was being played by Metallica.
Right. And the conductor's job is to give everybody the
Hmm.
tempo, to give everybody like, okay, this is where you're coming in and this is how you're going to groove with it. But when you're in a metal band, there's no conductor except your drummer and your bassist
Hmm.
and everybody. Your rhythm section is most of your band.
Your
You have a
conductor
lead.
is unfortunately Lars Ulrich.
Yeah, yeah. So Lars is going to do what Lars does regardless of the conductor. He's not watching the conductor. He's watching his own sticks go in the air and his mouth
Hmm.
move. So that's Lars. But the I will back up on my point to a bit because when you talk about a band as massive as Metallica, of course you're going to talk about their weird side releases,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Whereas we don't talk about the bits and pieces of more modern bands, like the stuff that's kind of coming out here and there, um, with guys certainly on my level, let alone maybe more if you're like Nuclear Blast kind of level or your Epitaph Records level or things like that. It's just not it's not really part of the zeitgeist of like who they are as a band.
Hmm.
So I had this opportunity because I had a health issue and I was out of work for a while.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of cooped up at my house. I really couldn't go anywhere. I really couldn't do anything. And I'm just kind of stuck in my own head. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to record a new EP or a new single or a bunch of singles that I can release as time and time goes on. Because the way the internet advice that I was talking about before works is you want to change your thinking and you want to become a content creator just like any podcaster or YouTuber right now or VTuber or fucking Twitch streamer or whatever. You have to be good at putting out constant stuff to keep
Hmm.
people in your circle and doing your thing and watching your shit and subscribing and all of that sorts of stuff. So the plan was to follow that advice and just do a single and another single and another single. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put out a single and then you're supposed to push it with some stupid reel or TikTok every single day for 6 weeks until you release the next single. That's the algorithm's favorite. It makes the algorithm's big stupid belly as yummy in its tummy. It's what it loves. This constant uploading. That's how you get eyes. That's how you get views. That's how you get people to care about you. And I was lost in the sauce on that for a good while. I released one single. I released another single. And then I just threw it in my hands. I was like, fuck this. Everything I put together and everything I worked on should come out as an album because I like albums.
Hmm.
And my friends like albums. And people I barely know like albums. I think as metal fans, we like albums. We like records. We like LPs. Um, when I released my EP, I didn't get a lot of criticism. The one thing that like hurt my feelings the most was, oh, I can't wait to hear more from you. I'm like, well, what the fuck do you mean you can't wait to hear more from me? Because when you put out an EP, it's like a demo. It's like a demonstration of what your band is and what they're doing and who you are, as opposed to like a real piece of work. I didn't put out a novel. I put out an essay in Reader's Digest when I put out the EP. That's just how I felt. And especially if you're just putting out singles every week, it's like for what? So that you can get the algorithm fed? I don't want to feed the algorithm. I want to feed people. I want to feed listeners. So,
Yeah, I really hate what the algorithm has done to music. I was talking way long ago when I was interviewing the post-metal band Glacier. They're like, it
mm,
sucks because like it also forces you, like if you're doing that, you're also forced to write in a certain way. And they're like, we knew we can't do something like that because it's post-metal. Your riffs you're stuck on one riff for the length of a whole reel, and that just won't sell well.
it can't. I mean, nothing we're doing is selling well. Nothing we're doing is going to sell well.
Hmm.
We are a niche of a niche of a niche. And there has to be some comfort in never making it. I'm more than likely never going to make enough money for my music to not have to go to work anymore. And most bands that are 50,000 times the level that I'm on are also in that position. You
Mhm.
have guys that are in huge bands with day jobs still. Um, but considering that, it's like, why play the game then? Why play the industry game? Why play the algorithm game? Why worry about the fact that this guy that's, on Bandcamp alongside me in the same Twitter circle or Blue Sky circle or Instagram circle? Oh, how come he has 5,000 followers and I have 500? That's bullshit. I don't like it's just trappings. We're all kind of just chasing our tail on that stuff. So I think the album was just all about, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna make music until I'm done. And 10 tracks later, I was done, and that's how you got "You Will Never Know Me."
And it was glorious.
You think so?
I loved it. I'm also like, post black metal trash. So like this
Same, Theo.
yeah,
Come on.
this tickled my brain.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, like it's I listened to the new Death Heaven. I'm like, this is awesome. If only someone else would do this.
I went in full headlong thinking that like I could be something that's like Death Heaven adjacent or Alcest adjacent or um
Definitely hearing more of the Death Heaven because like they have that like, black gaze atmospheric thing, but it's all
yeah
guitar driven. It's all guitar
it,
driven. Alcest has other instruments.
yeah it's way tougher than Alcest will ever be. Like
Yeah.
I'm wearing the shirt. I love Alcest. They are right now my favorite band. That changes every 2 days, but like right now, if someone were to ask me, I'd say they're my favorite band.
They're probably one of the
But
bands I've liked for the longest.
yeah,
It's basically
just
Souvenirs dropped, and I'm like, hell yeah.
I exist within this realm of metal adjacency
Hmm.
all the time. When I wrote that one track, Infernal Hails and Broken Hearts,
Hmm.
it was something that I've decided to do with this band so that I have it's interesting. It's like I have a backup song because I always picture like I'm going to play live and people are going to throw bottles at me when I come up and do this like pop punk style of like weird adjacent black gaze music. Like they're going to be like, get the fuck off stage. Who is this guy? So I want to have a song on deck or a couple songs on deck where I'm like, okay, bottle number one was thrown. How about this? And so that's where that kind of song comes from. And I hope it showcases that like I'm a metal dude and this is where I come from and this is what I do. Um, while still maintaining the flair of the rest of the album. And I feel like I did a pretty good job on that one track. And so when I put it all together and I was grooving with it, and I was like, damn, I actually like this track. It sounds cool. That one I think became the big single, if I could even say
Hmm.
that. That one got, because it was the metal algorithm was happy with that one. That one got like 600-ish streams immediately, as opposed to like the other stuff I put out, which is like, 50, 60, 70 on a good day or a
Yeah.
good week, depending on how I'm depending on how much I want to push it.
I can tell like this is from someone who definitely knows the genre. And I mean, I've been at ground zero for a lot of metal arguments. And one thing I put in my notes is like, I remember like, 10, 15 years ago, there was, I guess you could say a moral panic among metalheads. Like hipsters are going to ruin black metal. Just look at this fucking Death Heaven album. And it's
Yeah,
always good. I think Death Heaven got the worst of it, but I first
100%.
heard about it. I think I first heard it about Wolves in the Throne Room because they play pretty boilerplate US black metal, but they were openly like environmentalists, feminists, very
Yeah,
left wing oriented in a way that didn't seem very masculine, I guess.
I can't remember exactly what these are called. These are Ray-Ban Clubhouse, I think they're called. These are the official glasses of Carrie of Death Heaven. Um,
Yeah.
I was wearing plastic frames forever just because they didn't bend and break on me, and
Hmm.
then I was like, let me change it up, and I tried them on, and I was like, damn, I like these glasses. But
I think they're
I think
stylish.
they're very stylish. Thank you. I appreciate that. I saw, I think it was Carrie first when you look at Death Heaven and you see the guy in like, oh, he's got hipster glasses and this is hipsters now. It's like metal dudes, whether or not they love to throw out that they're all about the music or not, they are completely about the aesthetic to a degree.
Hmm. And they're also, I think they're also about who you associate with.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's just like
No.
I had a somewhat similar conversation with my brother because we were talking about bands that he listened to when he was a teenager, and I would make fun of him for listening to because I was more of an elitist. And the big
Mm,
one was like the Black Dahlia Murder because
yeah.
like they and I realized like as the years went on, I was making fun of him for listening to this otherwise boilerplate melodic death metal band because they would tour with metalcore. And like that's truly they can say it's all about the music, but a lot of metalheads don't like it when you associate with people they don't think are cool enough.
I have this sneaking suspicion that the Black Dahlia Murder got as much shit as they did specifically because of their sentence-long band name.
Yes.
Um, It Dies Today, Devil Wears Prada, A Day to
It
Remember.
yeah,
I
Black
mean,
Dahlia Murder, it sounds very metalcore.
yeah. So that's
And I
probably how they
think
got booked.
and I think that song like A Horrible Day to Have a Nightmare or whatever it is, like that's almost a Fall Out Boy song title.
Yeah, Horrible Night to Have a Curse,
Horrible Night to Have a
which
Curse.
is referential to a Castlevania video game.
Fucking fucking weebs.
Yeah.
No, no, then you learn that every metalhead's a weeb.
Yeah, unfortunately we all are. It's disgusting. It's like the worst part about us, but um most metalheads are dorks. You have to be. You just have
Yeah, it's
to be in this kind of music.
yeah, it's something I've tried to like make clear to my mom because she's better about it now, but she used to think like Iron Maiden, like back in her day, sounded like the evilest shit. And I'm like, if you knew anything about the Iron Maiden guys, they're peak dork.
Yeah.
They're
They
dweebs. Like
they like
they're more dweebs than a lot of actual metalheads.
they read every book that Bruce Dickinson is talking about in these lyrics. It's just, it's just a reality. And I used to think like unironically that Manowar was so awesome. It's like, oh man, I want to be buff and have swords. That's so cool. When I was like 14 years old, it's just like, and they're, and I was like, listen, these lyrics mean something. Okay. It's about brotherhood in metal. It's really serious. Like posers are real. There are wimps and posers. We got to get them out of here. You know, um, I have become an adult. Manowar was adults the entire time, mind you. They've never not been adults. But when I became an adult, I found out that posers are not real. The only people that probably we would want to take out of the genre are the people who point that finger and call people that. Like I found out that that's the only problem that could be ever found in this entire genre. Music is music, and you're just pressing play. You're just hitting the play button. That doesn't make you special or better than anybody else who listens to Taylor Swift or Post Malone or anything else. Like you're just hitting play and you're listening and you're liking what you hear. That
And
does not take as great an effort as you think it does.
your fashion sense is worse.
Much worse. Insanely worse.
Oh,
Although I'll tell you what, I see metal fashion all throughout modern fashion now. Like the unreadable band logo is everywhere now.
yeah, I will say like, posers aren't real, but I had a visceral reaction a couple years ago to Phoebe Bridgers using that like death metal parody logo for of her name, and then
Yeah.
like come and like people are like, oh, she did metal cover at a show, and I'm like, really? And it was Down with the Sickness. It's just like, okay, that you didn't try hard enough.
Brilliant. But I mean, to an outsider, that's all that metal is. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean, when I was 13 years old, I was into Linkin Park. I was into Limp Bizkit. I was into Disturbed. I was into Drowning Pool. I was into Slipknot. I was into all of these bands, Korn, whatever. Completely unironically, loved it. It was pissed off. It was angry. It was of the time, and I wanted more. So I go on the internet and I go on everything was message boards back when it was the year 1 BC when all
Hmm.
this stuff was happening, right? So I would go on the message boards. I'm like, hey guys, you like Korn? Do you like Slipknot? Like who here is into the new Drowning Pool album? And I was eviscerated publicly by all of these internet assholes. And being like a 13-year-old kid on the internet who doesn't know the difference between the internet and real life, my feelings are destroyed. And the great thing about assholes is that they are like a zombie virus. They make more of themselves. And so once I was torn to pieces, told, do not listen to that. Listen to this. This is what you really should be listening to. Um, the rest is history. I became a huge asshole. I was making fun of everybody for listening to Linkin Park. I was making fun of everybody for listening to these bands that I loved a month ago. And like, I feel like that's probably in line with most metalheads' experiences. These guys love to talk about how like, oh, I was listening to Mayhem out of the womb. But it's like, okay, man, maybe that's not fucking true.
Yeah, I don't think that much is true, but I was one of those rare people who skipped like having a new metal phase. I just like, but I went straight into like kind of more poppy side of symphonic and power metal as like a big Nightwish and Sonata Arctica fan.
Yeah. Well, if you
It's
grew
just
up with
like,
like a
and this was just me going on the internet. My parents had no influence there. They
yeah,
did
I
not want
mean,
me listening to this. But
if
just
you
like
had
there, it's kind of it's I think like for me like my experience is just like oh I know this stuff isn't like the harshest isn't harsh at all, but at least it's on the metal archives. And
yeah,
that and
I
like
mean,
I was molded into elitism by oh I like bands that are on this website run by a French Canadian couple.
have you heard the band Knoll, Knoll?
Oh yeah.
Knoll. Okay. So, I was good friends with the bassist online from Tennessee for a while, and we're still good. We're still cool. Shout out to you, man. Thank you.
I thought you were gonna say he got canceled, but
Yeah, no, fuck him. No, no, super sweet kid. I sent him like a bass pedal because he didn't have one. He was shopping for one. I was like, here, take mine.
Aw,
And he's been playing it ever since.
oh my
Um,
god.
and then the band kind of blew up and Anthony Fantano talked to them and I was like, yes, my bass pedal did this.
Yeah.
Um, but I I am intimately aware that they were initially barred from Metal Archives.
Mhm.
Like the first time they submitted to Metal Archives their own music, which I never had to do. People always found me on Bandcamp and like threw my shit on there, whatever I was doing. When they submitted to Metal Archives, they got an email back that was like, sorry, buddy, this is primarily grind. What? So grindcore is not like metal? Listen to it. What the fuck else could it be?
Yeah, they draw the line for grindcore. They draw the line weirdly because they're like,
They
oh, it has to.
literally have grindcore as a
Yeah,
genre
but
on the fucking
they're like,
site.
it has to be based in metal riffs. Just like, sure,
Jesus Christ.
sure, pal. Get anal cunt on the metal archives for real this time.
Yeah. There isn't enough racist bands in the Metal Archives. We need that one too. We definitely need that one too.
We need Massachusetts racism represented.
Quoting Theo, we need Massachusetts racism.
Yeah, that's
Put
true.
that on the headline.
Yeah, it's true, Boston.
You're right. We don't need it.
I,
Boston has it covered.
Yeah, I don't condone much the content of anal cunt, but
Much.
I do sometimes put on the song "The Gayest Guy on Earth" because like
It's fucking funny. And
it's a bit
the
of
picnic of love.
saying like he hangs around in Alston. I'm like I want to just like play it so my friends be like ah. I want to play that at O'Brien's.
He always wears a tree shirt.
Yes.
He's got a tribal tattoo. I intimately loved Anal Cunt when I was 12. It's just such a terrible band.
Same.
And
I was actually like I was enough of a teenage edgelord that Seth Putnam's death actually was sad to me instead of, and nothing of value was lost.
yeah, nothing of value was lost. I mean, it came up in a time where I could, and like this is tough to navigate, given the current socio-economical political climate. It, Anal Cunt came from a time where there was this understanding that like, okay, these lyrics are not to be taken literally and it's tongue in cheek and it's just him being funny and that kind of edginess was really funny in that time. And I get all of the very important reasons why it stopped being funny. But the more and more you learn about Seth Putnam, I don't think he was kidding as much as we all gave him credit for. The guy actually was a problem to a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, it's
Especially
rough.
not on stage.
No. If you are drugged to a point where you are freshly out of a coma and you can barely move, you should be given a beach chair to sit on stage with like half your face not working and still scream the lyrics anyway. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite clips of all time.
And you do
So
have
they
the
just
right.
roll Seth Putnam out onto a stage. They didn't have a wheelchair for him, so they sat him down on a beach chair. And he's just like, half his face is just not working. And still he brings the microphone to his mouth and goes, anyway, without missing a beat. So R.I.P. Seth.
I will
There went a
say,
real one.
if you survived a coma, you are allowed to say that like it's as gay as I thought it would be.
I don't know if I'm going to survive this show now. You're getting some shit out of me.
Allegedly, that's what he said. Like they had previously the song "You're in a Coma," and he's like, "Yeah, that's correct." That was so gay. It's just like, yeah, that's you get one pass.
Nah, no, we don't. Not anymore.
No,
Not anymore.
but
It's all
like,
over.
I mean, I've never been in a coma, thankfully.
You're in one every night.
I've had I've had challenging drunken blackouts, but no comas.
Boy, we all have, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been a rough couple years.
Thankfully not recently. It was actually like mostly pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I had and then there's no one to party with and you drank alone every night, but not quite to the point of blackouts, no coma simulator.
Once they legalize pot in our state, that became the after work chill
Yeah.
out stuff for me. And I think that's been a huge help. Not, I mean, not at all it's terrible for you, but like as we're finding out with like constant legal use, it's really not that great for you. But it's certainly better for you than fucking six pack every night.
Oh yeah.
So,
Like
you know,
I can't drink anymore. I also don't use weed, but I don't judge anyone who's like, I'm using weed. It's like the healthy option. I'm like, yeah, compared to a lot of things.
yeah. I mean, I like given my like physiological and psychological states any given day, like weed is it can be okay, but strain for strain, just because I pick something out with a funky name or whatever, it's like some stuff can really fuck me up,
Yeah,
especially with like the weird shit they're making in labs these days.
I've that was the experience that
High potencies as possible. It's fucking nuts.
yeah, that was the sort of stuff that turned me off to weed. Like it did like it was some lab strain that really didn't agree with me. Like I'd get
Yeah.
sick. I was just nauseous and not to say paranoid, but like paranoid about how I felt.
Yeah, you had the experience. And like this is still relevant because we're talking about like doom music people here, okay? This
Yeah.
is this is relevant conversation.
Hmm.
You have to have the experience to know what being really, really scary high feels like. To
Hmm.
be like, man, go sit down and eat some peanut butter cups. You're not going to die. You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's
need that experience to write a sick ass doom metal album.
yeah.
Like a scary one.
Um,
I feel like I don't know what inspired Black Sabbath's self-titled song, but I will say like my worst experiences on anything were kind of like that.
it's bad vibes.
Yeah. That
But
song
back
like
in the day,
that would have been so scary for the boomers listening.
there was a lot more acid going around and stuff like that. I don't think the kids fuck with that stuff that much, like the major
I
psychological
never
stuff.
I hear about shrooms.
Psychedelic, not
I
psychological.
never hear about LSD, and I'm sure people still do it, but I don't hear about it as much.
Well, it like rips your chromosomes in half or something. I don't know. It's like
Uh,
fucking insane. It's like
I
I don't
hope
know.
not. That'd be
I don't
kind of
know.
bad.
Yeah, it'd be
Um,
pretty rough.
but shrooms is one I actually like. my friends will say that they do. I don't know if there's like if it's a stigma thing, if like
Like
shrooms are
they're
just less stigmatized than
well,
LSD or other psychedelics.
well, Colorado in their infinite progressiveness, I know they've legalized shrooms.
Yeah.
Um,
And honestly,
I'm sure
like
that we're next. I'm sure that
on
we're
a
next.
it didn't pass our ballot, but um it's one thing that like I support just in the sense that like I don't think it's dangerous to decriminalize it.
No, and I mean,
And
like, there's a lot of
I want
libertarian stuff about decriminalizing everything, and it's like
yeah.
you might as
Maybe
well.
yeah. Maybe I don't think that about like every single thing. Like there probably shouldn't be a fentanyl trade, but also
Probably not.
none of what we've done has really helped that. Both psychedelics, it's just like I'd rather there be a regulated market for them. I would rather there be avenues to research them, to have them
Yeah,
be a medical option should that be applicable.
I
Even if
will
it's
tell
something I
you.
never partake in, and I've heard horror stories from friends about, even if they otherwise did like shrooms, just like yeah, but that bad trip.
Yeah, I think I only need to fuck with them once to know that like that is not a thing for me. I think marijuana high is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Cannabis high is perfectly enough. I don't need anything else. I don't need to get drunk. I don't need to get fucked up. I don't need to like, oh, it's a gateway drug to more. Why? It's really can be really tough on you sometimes. So
yeah. I'd say alcohol is more of
can
a gateway drug, if anything.
one thing I can say to bring this whole thing back
Yeah.
is every time I needed to play like a searing reverb covered lead part for you in any given part of the album, like I was just playing a guitar solo, I got stoned on purpose. I just was like, okay, now I got to do the leads. And every time I tried to do it like dead stone cold sober, I was like, no, no, let me try it again. Let me try it again. And I was like, all right, man, you just need to relax and get in the groove. Why don't you just smoke a little pot and try again? And honestly, God, every fucking solo on that record was just me off my rocker, just doing something that I'm gonna try really hard to replicate live if I ever do get to play live. Because I don't remember how I did it. I just hear it back and I was like, oh hell yeah, that sounds great.
Mhm.
So in that way, Black Band Shirt is also a stoner band. Now you know
Cool.
that. Now it's a
Yeah.
stoner band. Everybody,
Your
everyone
first
who
show will be next 420.
yes, yeah, the next 420, I'm probably going to put out a third
You're gonna get
release.
invited to Hot Smoker.
I hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not. Oh God, have you been to those shows? Yes, of course you have.
Well,
Like the stoner doom shows.
I've been to some. They don't not necessarily hot smoker fest, but like I've seen Sleep live and it was so loud that my bones hurt.
I mean, those are cool. Stoner Doom Club. I guess what I mean more is like a festival.
I
Like go
haven't
to
been to
like
the
a
festivals, no.
yeah, it's essentially picture this. You're in a campground. There's no there's just no escape from the outside and the smell of everybody.
Oh, okay.
And you're hoping to God you don't get out, that you get out of there without, some kind of STD on purpose or by accident.
Just like in the miasma.
Yeah, there's just like herpes hanging in the air. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Just herpes and stinky people.
Yeah. So I guess not, but maybe some basement show.
Yeah, like a basement student Star Doom show's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Where immediate exit and safety is possible, then it's fine.
All
But
right.
if my car is parked in like a pile of other cars that I have to sleep in that night, no thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get if you start becoming a tour like a live act, you have to get a van
Oh no, I didn't even think of that.
and you have to sleep in it.
I'm just gonna go home. I'm not gonna go on tour at all.
No, you're just gonna
Hmm.
play in Western Mass. You gotta throw them a bone.
Just do something great out here. There's a lot of really good bands out here, actually. Just they all go and play in Boston.
Yeah.
They all take the drive.
Yeah, I remember like when my brother was in college, I I would like look at the offerings at one of the theaters near him, and I'd be like, and like one year I was like, wait, explosions in the sky, what the fuck? And I don't think you see that much of that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Explosions in the Sky is great.
I
I
wish
mean,
I
we
went
both
to that.
saw Mono at the Alcest show. You
That
know,
was,
kind of in the same
yeah,
vein.
and
That was incredible.
that was. It's hard to say who was the best act that night. That was sublime. That was
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
transcendental experience, and like
That's
I've just told my one of my friends like Mom's gonna be real good, and I'm like, okay.
definitely the hottest crowd I've ever been to, too. Everybody was really sexy. I just
Yeah,
remember
honest.
that.
At least everyone near me, like
It was everybody.
if you were
It was the whole
if you're,
show.
I passed out a few cards, so if you're listening, I mean it.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I just remember everyone was like so well dressed.
I
Adjacent metal is the hottest people on earth. Like people
yeah.
who would listen to like it's like, oh, I don't really listen to metal that much anymore, but I listen to like Alcest and Death Heaven and Chelsea Wolfe and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like
Oh,
even stuff like Ethel Cain,
I know the
like
sexiest crowd I saw. It was last year, but Uniform and Pharmacon. Everyone there is like a 10 out of 10.
what was it, Uniform? And
Uniform
Pharmacon was a 10 out of 10.
every well, the performance was, but everyone who attended was also 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that show just to sneak a peek. I think the goal of Black Band Shirt more than anything is just to have the hottest, sexiest crowd possible,
Yeah,
which is why
hopefully.
I don't get that hyped when like ugly nerds say they like my music. I'm just like, get out of here. Ugh.
But I'm leaving then.
Yeah,
I know you don't want me.
like I know I'm an ugly nerd, but I'm an ugly nerd like sub post ironically, like I'm
You
actually
turned
really hot.
38, so but 28.
Yeah, back when I was 28, I was worse.
Oh. Oh yeah,
I
same I
was
mean
not as hot.
same for me. Like my 20s I was miserable looking. I had to get hot because I'm
Worse.
just like I need to be the hot metalhead.
I think millennial, like men and women. I mean, you're younger than me, so maybe you're. Would you say you're a Zoomer or a millennial?
I'm a millennial, but I know I'm the tail end.
Just like okay, so but even the tail end, beginning, whatever, and
Hmm.
that's a lot. That covers a lot of people. We're talking like late 70s, all the way to like early 90s, right?
Hmm.
Like 94, 95, 96.
Yeah.
That's a lot of that covers a lot of ground. That's a lot of different people. I
Hmm.
was born in 1987, and I think that for some reason, just millennials just hit it as in terms of just being the hottest generation ever.
Microplastics.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. We didn't need Botox because we were so loaded with the bullshit already.
Yeah, my facial muscles will already be paralyzed.
Oh yeah, like I just got these big chubby baby cheeks that are just fucked up on like all sorts of weird synthetic crap.
Yeah.
That I'm stoked. I'm ready to go. But yeah, I want to make sure I have a crowd as hot as possible.
Hmm.
But like I one of my favorite things to do is like give guys advice when they're having a really hard time with women. To just do little tweaks to make themselves hot. Um, I feel like there's this one kid who was like just saying like I'm always going to be alone, and I think he was on Twitter or Blue Sky or something. And I just told him, dude, just get a tattoo and a mustache, please. That's it.
Yeah. Like
That's
that's
everything. I've been looking at your pictures forever. Just get a tattoo and a mustache, and you're good. You're fine.
yeah, like there's
Especially
that
as like a fatter dude, you're fucking all set.
yeah.
Go take some pictures of you shoveling a driveway or like fixing a dishwasher, and you'll have all the ladies you could ever want.
Yeah, like if you're a bigger guy, you just lean into the lumberjack aesthetic and you'll drown in pussy.
100%. And big guys, they can't get into that. I'm a huge guy. But it wasn't until I became adult and aware of my surroundings that I was like, some of these women actually are into me. And that's a huge thing with metal dudes because, like you said, we're all weebs, and we have this sort of just like silent rage of women not liking us because it's like, oh, first of all, they have a problem where they're like, oh, I need a metal chick. We're the horn chucking metal chicks. I need metal chicks. And it's like, dude, no, you don't.
Yeah, and it's
Metal
also
music
like
is not a personality. It's just the
yeah.
kind of music you listen to.
Then you
You can
learn
go out
that
with
by like
anybody.
then you learn that by like being a metal chick. Like I was thinking for a while, like, you know, there's a bigger market than exists for metal chicks. I'm gonna have it so easy dating. It turns out people do want more.
Right. Like if your metal music is your personality, there's a problem. It's like I
Yeah.
said at the beginning of the
And there
show.
is
If
definitely,
masculinity is your personality, there's a problem.
yeah, and unfortunately, quite a bit of my personality is metal music and the sort of stuff that will make a dude say hell yeah.
Yeah, but it's literally everything else, Theo, that has to be your personality. That's the
Yeah.
hard part. Like it's
It's so
quite literally
so terrible.
it's quite literally everything else that makes you up as a person that is like going to be worth dating or not dating. So you have to like work on that shit.
No.
And I love saying that to anyone who's into metal. I'm like, I'm just trying to find a like it's like I'm just trying to find my metal princess. It's like, well, you can't play Dark Souls in front of them for 40 hours a day.
Yeah, you gotta switch it up at least. Yeah, at least switch
You
up the games.
you can't order chicken nuggets at like
Yeah.
sushi restaurants and
You're
stuff.
gonna have to
There's
at least like play Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart and Fall Guys like couch co-op with her.
right. And minimally. Like you get your video gaming time. Yes, but now it's like 1-2 hours. It's not gonna be Monster Hunter for 68 straight. It can't be. Like that life is over now. You have someone who loves you and cares about you and wants you to see you do better. So, that's kind of hard to convey to some metal dudes. But I think that if I put that lyrically into what I do, and I talk more about love than the average bear, and I talk more about the feminine experience, and a lot of that gets discussed on this album
Yeah, I was get
in
that's why
experiences I've had.
yeah, that's why I brought up the whole like hipster black metal thing because I know that like even without sound, there would probably be someone who would see the lyrics and be like, "This isn't what black metal's about." Like black metal's supposed
No.
to have like is supposed to be more like more nihilistic and like subversive and edgelordy.
Well, I
It's
would, I agree to
yeah,
to a degree. I feel like it's really odd that DSBM does not explore romance as much as it could. I mean, you got like that song by Happy Days, Abigail, which is like, what else
yeah,
could that be about besides wanting to kill yourself because a woman doesn't love you?
yeah.
But if you get into what I'm doing lyrically, which I promise, like I'm such a slob, I promise I'm going to put up my lyrics like probably right after this show. A lot of it had to do with just experiences of being like a toxic, shitty guy who tried to get like just women's attention. And I think that we all fall into this trap where we as men have been told over and over and over again that there are a black magic set of steps to
Hmm.
follow to get any woman, regardless of like type or 8, 9, 10 level, whatever, to fuck you. And I mean, I came up in the time of the game and how people thought it was a
Yeah.
manual instead of like a cautionary tale about people who follow these manuals. And the songs Line Stepper, You Will Never Know Me, like all that stuff's just all about being like kind of a piece of shit and getting girls any way that I could possibly get them. And it's just that those were autobiographical because I was in my 20s. I used to be a piece of shit. I used to like we didn't have the conversations we have now, especially after the Me Too movement and everything. I definitely never took it to a certain level. Like I never abused anybody, but would I like blow them up with text messages all the time to like stay in their orbit? And like would I do stupid things like, okay, there's a girl who's not texting me back, like tell her you have a gift for her, like, hey, I got a present for you, because the next thing she's gonna say is, what is it, just little weird shit like that.
Yeah.
And I I tried to kind of get in those conversations a lot with guys my age and guys younger than me, because especially guys younger than me, because like these days people are so lonely and they're so shut in that they don't understand that, hey, how do you make up a guidebook for your best friend? Like as a dude, I would say think about your best friend, think about your best buddy. What were the steps that you followed to get that guy being your buddy? And it humanizes women to them, because that's my job in this is like, listen, women don't want anything. That's never going to be a thing. You're fucking people. You're person to person, you know? And so if you go into it like I need to do certain things to get certain women and I need to do certain things to get dates and I need to do this and do that and do everything. It's like I don't want to be your mom and tell you just be yourself. Um, but I do want to be your mom and say, hey, there are like basic rules to social functioning that you do have to follow. But outside of that, really like you're just going to get who's interested in you for who you are and you're going to have to be interested in them for who they are because that's how it has to be. Um, if you're going online and you're looking up rules to pick up women, you're already losing. You're already not going to pick them up because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's just
Like,
like a sense of the room you got to get.
yeah, no, that's very astute. Um, and I think it's a better lesson than I did think of the one DSBM band that touched on relationships, but unfortunately it was Leviathan after Rest was accused of violently beating and raping his girlfriend. He had to
Oh
be a
yeah,
true traitor. Like, yeah, it is
I
about
know about that.
relationships. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's good relationships.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there. I don't think lyrically I would ever go there, no matter how
Like,
mad I got.
you should never be Jeff Whitehead, aka Rest.
Yeah,
Because
but I
if
think
any of that is true, like, yeah, you should get a little canceled. And I do say this as someone who really likes Leviathan's music because I like some, I like some DSBM. Sue me.
I I I
I've
love
been,
Leviathan's music, but I had to go somewhere else. It's the same thing
yeah,
with like I will still go to the bat and when guys bring up Burzum and be like, oh, and his shitty music, and I was like, well, actually, Burzum was the only guy doing anything really interesting in the
yeah.
'90s. But
Unfortunately, Philosophum is in my DNA, but like I have to
yeah,
shake my
it's
head
like,
and tell people no, I disagree.
hey, dude, it's a great album. He defined the guitar tone of a generation for people making
Yeah,
his music, but like, man, what a fuckhead. And I'm not gonna give him a stream or give him any money or like, wear
yeah,
a t-shirt of his and promote him. But if I'm just sitting there and like I hear his music come on a black metal playlist, it's like, okay, this is gonna be good, but it's gonna be skipped.
yeah. Like I,
Just how it is. I'm not gonna separate the art from the artist, but if I objectively have to, I'm gonna say it's good or
yeah, I do
bad.
like for Burzum. One of my friends, very lefty, very bisexual. He was just he's just like, yeah, it sucks that their discography is perfect. So, and he said that
It's true.
one of his tactics for kind of diminishing Varg is like I only call him Christian, his birth name, because I know he hates it. Like, so that's the only guy he'll
Yeah,
dead name.
good. Dead name.
Use
Can't believe
Varg.
you dead named Varg. That's disgusting.
I mean, I well,
What the fuck?
yeah, it's just like I think for black metal musicians who like aren't like are all right enough people, like I don't feel the need to call them by their full names. Like I don't know, I'm never gonna call Fenriz by his full name, and he seems tolerable.
Yeah, he's just a dork like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess to get back to what I was saying, I originally kind of pigeonholed the romance aspect of my music because on paper it was supposed to be like pop punk emo music. I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, if I'm gonna make music like that, lyrically at least I should follow that guideline and make it about just being sad about girls and stuff. But as I was starting to write the lyrics, I was like, damn, dude, you are sad about girls and stuff. Like, this is where your best stuff is coming out. So, like, I just kind of leaned into it. Just like things that were inspired by past experiences, things that were like inspired by recent experiences, like my current relationship or, how things have been like how I might have fucked things up with my own bullshit.
Hmm.
Things that are just, it's just what I know more than anything else. And I think what you have to do as a musician is write about what you know. And look, I'm not going to say that like writing about dragons and warriors is not what those guys that write about that shit. It's not what they know because it is fucking absolutely what they know.
Hmm.
Blind Guardian is experts at dragons. When people say like that shit sucks because it's not real, it's fucking real to them, dude. They know enough. So that's just what I know, and that's just what my life has been and my experiences. And I've actually had people that have come out and said like, oh, man, I really like almost cried in that. So, like I've connected with this track or this track so well, man. Like that's awesome that you're putting out music like that. And it's just like, thanks, man. Hell yeah, you're a metal dude. You can have feelings. That's fine. God forbid.
Yeah, I definitely
Doesn't
like.
always have to be Dungeons and Dragons, dude.
Yeah, I like music that kind of reminds me, in some way, that does remind me of very pathetic moments in my life, or like my my less perfect ones. I wouldn't say that your songs sound pathetic. I have another category for that, but I think it's
No, I
sort of
didn't take
like,
it that way at all.
yeah, stuff, but stuff like, the embarrassing parts of wanting someone and yearning for something and not doing it correctly.
Yeah. I mean, some of the music is like maybe roughly inspired by some things, but um I think Leaf Peeper was like a complete work of fiction back in the first EP. Like it was
Okay.
just about like some goth girl who you were dating but didn't give a shit about you. You know, that's just the song I wanted to write. And so I thought about what that would be like. And so I was like, all right, let me think of a girl who didn't give a shit about me. And then like I wrote about her, but like, she didn't have black nail polish and lipstick and stuff. It was just the vibe I was going for.
We've all, it's that goth girl in our heads.
Um, yeah. I mean, I married the goth girl in my head, so I'm very
Oh my
happy.
God. Let's go. That'll be the last message for this podcast. There's always hope.
There's always hope. And that's why I married her, because I was like, oh shit, you're the goth babe of my head. I better get on that. These days we're more settling into like Goblin Core Homestead, both of us.
Okay.
So that's the way to be when you're kind of an aging millennial, is just like, all right, put on your thick frame glasses and let's go plant some tomatoes and let's go cherish some frogs and live happily ever after. That's where I'm at. And so it's really good news that I can objectively write about all this heartbreak from past experiences with no heartbreak at all in my current life.
That's awesome, dog.
Thanks, homie. And hey, I had a great time. This was a great time, great show. I got to ramble about absolutely nothing to do with my music for as long as I did, and I loved it.
It's
So
gonna be
that's what I
fun.
do in my regular life.
Yeah.
And that's the message. Your personality can't always be metal. Your personality has to be how you pronounce caramel and shit.
Yeah. Once again, thanks to Bren O'Sullivan for appearing on the show. Check out Black Band Shirt and check out metal that has a sensitive side in general. We're all adults now. As I've learned in my own exploits of dating here, plenty of you have partnered up anyways and don't have full aux cord privileges in the car anymore. Many such cases. So you can stand to pour your heart out. I'm Theo Morgan. Have a good night. Any other final thoughts for the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just do the plug. You can find my music at blackbandshirt.bandcamp.com. I am heavy into Bandcamp. Bandcamp is my favorite form because the streaming there is the best quality, and you're going to hear my music as it was intended to be heard. But also, of course, I am on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the majors. It's 3 separate words, Black Band Shirt. And hopefully the algorithm is pleased enough to send you my way. Please go check out my music. Please go stream my music, listen to it. You do not have to pay for it. We're in a numbers game, and the numbers are just what I crave. It's what I'm after. It's how I know I'm loved. So please go check it out. The new album is called You Will Never Know Me. 10 tracks. It's only $6 for all of those on Bandcamp if you do want to get a digital download of it. But if you don't, just go ahead and listen to it. Let me know what you think. I'd really appreciate your time.
And since this is black metal, this is the podcast's endorsed real way of listening to it. Streaming service with the worst quality, dollar store earbuds. And then it'll sound just like mayhem.
Yeah, make sure you listen to it on your phone, just like openly on your phone, on the T, on full blast.
In a Starbucks.
Hell yeah, that's the way to go.